So if you're new, please type in the chat, what is intuition to you? And I will take that at the end of the of this session. I will start off by saying a few words about the agenda, which is really simple. I'm gonna end up early, so we have time to discuss and to if you have any questions. And before that, I'm gonna walk you through what decoding intuition is, or the intuitive leader, based on 3 questions that usually my clients have, or that people tell me when they seek this out. That's just about it. And the whole story behind the research and the people and the clients will be through the lens of 3 questions. And I can share these questions with you straight away. So one of the most heard questions that I hear from either clients or people seeking this out is, I know I have strong intuition, but I don't always know how to use it, or I don't know for sure it is my intuition, how to trust that it is actually intuition and not something else. And this is the category decisions and self-trust, or self-knowing, really. Another question that I often hear is, I need to work on my relationships. I need to be better able to read the room, but I don't really know what I do wrong, and I don't know what to do with it, how to fix it. This obviously is a category relationships, but it is related to high performance and the transfer of trust into the team. And the third question, and this is a big one, is I'm doing well, for example, I already have a company, or I'm the founder, or I am doing well in my life, but something is missing and I don't really know what it is, or I don't really know what the next big step in my life is going to be, either business or life. And that is the category purpose and direction. So here we have the 4 absolute key ingredients when it comes down to how to use intuition, what I hear. And that is decisions, which is related to self-trust, purpose, direction, and relationships. So that's basically the whole the whole agenda today, the lens of which we will view this. And there are some more people now. Still, we had a record number of people registered by email, so I'm really a little bit worried that we don't have more people here. Almost close to 100. So maybe there's something wrong. But thank you for joining. And given the introduction, just that you have an idea of where you have ended up, the work that I do is offering you a safe space where you can explore these questions. Purpose, my intuition, how to read the room, and to start making steps into that direction without risking anything that is already working in your life. And the need to, well, I would like to add to that, that the work that I'm doing is based on 3 pillars. It's global research and science. It's evidence-based methods, partly based on roughly 50 deep interviews I've done myself with founders, business owners, CEOs on intuitive leadership. And some of those are on my podcast, The Intuitive Leader. And self-experience. There isn't one aspect of intuitive leader or decoding intuition that isn't experienced by myself. So it's not just textbook knowledge, if you like. More on this later when I will jump straight into it. But just to finish it off, if you don't know me, besides my name, Maurice, I'm 50, born in the Netherlands, living in Sweden, married with 1 son and 1 dog. And yeah, this will roughly take 45 minutes. I will stay until the hour, but I will end up early, so we have a moment for discussion. Thank you for joining again. And if you're new and haven't done so, please write into the chat, what is intuition to you? I will take it at the end. By the way, do you feel you're in the right room? If yes, please give a thumbs up or something. Let me know if you're in the right room. Good. Because we all want the outer game. We want the results on the outer game. But in order to get the results in the outer game, we need to work with some aspects of the inner game. For example, purpose, that's inner game. What's the right direction? That's the inner game. reading the room for relationships. That is also the inner game. It also has immediate effects on our lives, but it is the inner game there where we start. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. And the I mentioned to you already the podcast, and see if I'm going to succeed in showing my screen again. Yep. So the podcast is one aspect of the interviews I've done, but not long, far from all are there. And I would say that most part of the hours of interviews are not on my podcast, but they're transcribed, but not made public. They're from a private nature, if you like. But would you want to listen in to some of the guests? Then if you see this young man here on the screen, then you have come right. Maurice Jenkens, the intuitive leader. And some of my guests are here on this screen, and I'm gonna mention a few. From the left, there is Victor Dörfler. He's a professor in AI, funny enough. Well, not funny enough at all. There's a clear link between AI and intuition, but he's a professor in AI, and his breakthrough work, if you like, what he's famous for, is that his master apprentice project, which is really at the core a deep study in why and how Nobel Prize winners come to their scientific breakthroughs. And spoiler alert, intuition or intuitive leaps play a very important role. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about him later on, as well as Professor Eugene Sadler-Smith, whom is one of the absolute most quoted professors in terms of intuitive intelligence. He's written a lot of books, but he's also very helpful in explaining the different types of intuition that we recognize in business. So I'm going to talk a little bit about him as well. Also, Mac van Meningen, here to your right, that is I call him the Canadian Warren Buffett. He's a banker and an investor and a philanthropist. It's actually a family business. He's the second generation. And on my podcast, he has a lot of beautiful stories, but one of them is how he reads the room, how he makes decisions, and how reading the room in a management or a board setting helps him make the right decisions and avoid disaster. Fantastic man. And then to the right, a Danish person by origin, Jens Hansen. He now lives in Switzerland. He's an investor, but he's also a futurist. And I want to start there. So the futurist, the work of a futurist is to look at data, to analyze a zillion amount of weak signals, and to find out which of those weak signals are really worth putting time and effort in, and then to invest in. So if you would imagine, we're now living in 2025, and 10 years ago, 2015, I'm not sure if you remember, but one of the big things then was the Internet of Things, or the Internet of No Things, and the rise of augmented reality, virtual reality, and an array of obscure tech companies, and AI. So his work is to find out in a very early stage which of these bits and bleeps in the universe, data points, will grow into something important. So my question to you is, 10 years ago, would you have invested in NVIDIA? So we all know now how that went with NVIDIA. I'm sure you can see this red arrow, this orange arrow here. That's 2015. NVIDIA's share price wasn't exactly spectacular at the time, although it was already higher, but not that high. And would you have bought NVIDIA of all the other companies when the Internet of Things was really the hype? I admit I didn't. I didn't even know they existed. But Jens Hansen did. He knew. He somehow knew. His work is to analyze data. His work is to analyze weak signals. And but it's not just Jens Hansen. And by the way, before I move on, I just want, because I just love the data point here. In 1999, NVIDIA's share price was worth, well, $4 cents, I believe, something like that. It went up more than 450,000%. That's percent, not 100%, not 1,000%, but 450,000%. Who believed in NVIDIA in 1999? That was, of course, Jensen Huang, the founder of NVIDIA, and a couple of investors. And they believed in it. They doubled down on their own weak signal, but that was what it is, a startup in AI. That was 1999 in chips. And then AMD was and Intel were the big dragons. They backed down, they doubled down on their own weak signal. And ultimately, this comes down to, do I believe it? Do I trust this weak signal? In 2015, Jens went in, I believe somewhere there. But it comes down to, do I believe this signal enough? Do I trust my intuition enough to actually stick with this and actually make it work? So by the way, I don't have many slides. I don't have 3 or 4 slides or something. So you're not going to be killed. You're not going to be exposed by death by PowerPoint. So what I want to say is that this kind of intuition, the intuition to take the moment, to take the opportunity to strike when it's right, that is called temporal intuition. This is, oh, and by the way, now I see that a lot of new people have joined. Thank you for joining. Welcome. And when you've just newly joined, please write in the chat, what is intuition according to you? I will come back to that at the end. I was just explaining that what is the right moment to strike for an opportunity to buy something, to sell your company, to expand, to open a new office, to change jobs? That intuition is called temporal intuition. And the formerly mentioned Professor Eugene Zettler-Smith has written a lot of work on that, the different types of intuition, and among other, the managerial skill to strike the right opportunity. Obviously, what's his name now again? I always mess up the names here. Let me see. Jensen Huang is not my podcast guest, Jens Hansen. Jensen Huang believed in this, right? He doubled down. He believed his gut. He went with it. Jeff Bezos did, right? With Amazon. Steve Jobs did twice with Apple. He got kicked out of his company and he came back and did it again. So the inversed signal to trust your own gut is also true in the sense that if you would walk away from something, very famous quote from Warren Buffett here. When an investment opportunity is there and the numbers are green, but you have a bad stomach feeling about it for whatever reason, walk away. Those are literally his words. And the trust they exert in their intuition, in their gut feeling, has made them to who they are today. So this is decisions, right? And self-trust, what we talked about. It was the first question that people have. And it's actually what I see with my clients. Even they're not Jensen Huangs, they're not Jeff Bezos, but literally one client of mine, when he onboarded, when he joined, he said to me, like, I want to have what Jeff Bezos has. I want to have his intuition. And I said, well, you don't need to. You have your own. So we need to find out, and intuition is a weak signal, right? We need to find out what your weak signal is and then learn you how to trust it. That is exactly what decoding does. The second question that people have is on relationships, often related to, I need to get better at relationships. And now I want to tell the story about Mac Van Willing and the Canadian Warren Buffett. He told me on the podcast, he was sitting in the meeting room, in his own boardroom, because he is the founder of that company and was the CEO, he's now retired. But when he was sitting there, and this is a man of status, right? He has been knighted by the English Queen, among other. So this is a person of allure, if you like. And in front of everybody else in his management team, when they had to make a decision to invest in a big oil company in Canada, the numbers looked good, but he didn't feel good about it. But he didn't know why. And he felt uncomfortable. And he told me in the podcast, when I feel discomfort, I stop and pause. I wonder why is that? And then he looked into his management team, and most of the people there believed the numbers, except for one person. He didn't say much, but he looked a little bit uncomfortable. And Mac called him out. He read the room, he saw it, he called out that person and he said, "You look uncomfortable. You look like you don't agree. Why? What's on your mind? Speak up." The man spoke up. Turned out that he had troubling news about one of the founders or one of the co-owners of the company that was to be bought. A very bad track record, ending up in court and stuff. So they didn't do the deal. And that was probably for the better, because there was a very large history of fraud there somewhere in that regarding that person. At the same time, Mac has told me another story on the podcast, almost an identical situation where he didn't listen to his to his gut feeling. And guess what? It ended up in court, in a business divorce in court. And this is not a unique story. I've heard that zillion of times. What I want to let you know is that there is clear science, among other done by Antonio Damasio, a neuroscientist, that actually that tells you black and white, your gut feeling is real. Your intuitive signals are real. There is a biological infrastructure between gut and head. There's also a psychological infrastructure, nervous system between gut and head, going via your amygdala, where it is being analyzed by your brains. Antonio Damasio's work, thanks to his work, we know that if your amygdala that analyzes these signals is not working, you're not able to make decisions, because feelings, those bad feelings that disrupt a good rational decision, feelings paint evidence, they paint data, they give context. Without context, you can't judge. Feelings are absolutely crucial for a good decision. And that's also why gut feeling is so important. You don't have every piece of data lined up in a feeling, but if it's off, you should do as Mac Van Wielingen does. Pause. If you feel uncomfortable, pause. And by the way, talking about reading the room, because he stopped and paused, because he felt uncomfortable, because he openly admitted it in a room full of investors, and he drew in another person, he showed himself vulnerable. He created an enormous amount of psychological safety to speak up. And with that, he created a very high performing team, right? So let me see. Are we still here? Yes, we are still here. Have you fallen asleep? No, not yet. Good. Right, thank you. Good. I would like to share with you the story from Victor Dörfler, Professor Dörfler. He went to deep interview 19 Nobel Prize winners. Just that, how do you get access to them, right? And how do you come on their level to interview them on their special expertise? But he didn't have any expectations. He didn't have a plan. He explained to me that his idea was to just blank interview them. And just like he's a professor in AI, right? Then you throw everything into a one big mixer and try to find patterns. How they do it. How do they come to their breakthroughs? You know what the answer was? You know what he found? What pattern he found? Silk. No pattern at all. And then he started to rethink. Wait a minute. He started to analyze the words they're using, not try to find a match of a pattern, but the words. What about the wordings? How do they describe their breakthroughs? Because they don't really know how they did it. They just did it. But how? How did they describe it? And then he discovered that they're using intuitive language. Like, I felt this is wrong. I felt this was the right way. I envision it should look like this. And then they worked their way through it, and then they came to an insight, and bam. This is called creative intuition. It's called the intuitive mind, in creative intuition. And what he explains is that this is the master apprentice project, where the Nobel Prize winners were the masters. The masters make intuitive leaps. They don't know how to get there, but they know when they end up that this is right. This feels very right. Then they start working, making their way back, and then fill the gap with 10, 15 years of science. with normal, rational, sequential analysis, right? When they reach that point where they were already 10 years ago intuitively, they get the Nobel Prize because they're so brilliant. But they can't explain how they did it. And the big kicker in his work is that you don't you don't become master without your intuitive intelligence, without trusting it. It's not as if you are master, then you start sharing your intuitive knowledge. You need your intuitive intelligence to get to that point in the first place. And this is the correlation. This is what I see with my clients. This is what I see in business. This is what research points out. And it's almost like people like Victor Dörfler and others are doing research on what I can see CEOs doing. You know, the Jeff Bezoses, for example, and the Steve Jobs. It's not a coincidence. They trusted their intuition. They do. I mean, Bezos talks a lot about that and how to make decisions with only 6% of the data available. So what do all these people have in common, right? Jeff Bezos, Jensen Huang, Steve Jobs, but also the Nobel Prize winners, Victor Dörfler himself, but also a lot of my podcast guests like Jens Hansen, but also Mac van Wielingen. What do they have in common? And actually, me, it's a little me, and my clients. What do they have in common? They connect their intuition, they use the intuition with their longing, what they want to do in life, and how to create purpose out of it. Now let that sink in for a second. That I'm not sure, by the way, if they do that by design. I'm not sure. It could be randomly. Some is luck. I don't know. It could very well be. I like luck, but I like by design a lot better because then I can control it. I can replicate it. And this is in essence, what we are doing. So if you have a longing, if you have something you want to do, it's probably vague. You will probably use intuitive language to explain it. You're probably longing for something. And when you hear, and sometimes you hear things like, yeah, okay, I want to help people stop being poor or something. But it's like the longing isn't clear, it's vague. To go from longing here, which is a big thing, it's a big driver, it's where the energy is, to purpose. Purpose is what you do in this world that is meaningful to you and to others, right? It's your life purpose. If you go from longing, vague, undescribed, to purpose, which is very precise, in between is an intuitive process. This is decoding intuition to actually decipher and detect what it is that my longing is actually telling me. If we don't do that, if we stay in longing, we stay dreamy, it's fine, it's nice, but it's not purpose. And if we are too radical about it, we lose our heart when doing purpose. We build a company, we get rich, that's fine. But then they come back to me and say, I have a company, but something is missing. I don't know what it is. I want to find out what the next 20 years of my life are going to look like. Do I sell my companies? Do I start something new, something with purpose? And this is basically what I've dedicated my life to. This is what I've done for the last 20 years. I've been sitting on a daily basis, self-analyzing what is purpose, what is longing, what is my intuition telling me. And what I didn't know when I was doing it is that I've been actually cracking the codes of how you can proactively, by design, use your intuition. Not reactively, but proactively. And let me see if I still have you there. Are you still with me? Yes, right, good. It looks like this. Fantastic. It starts with longing. You want to decode your longing. You need a creative process. There isn't you can't skip that. Either it's luck, but you can do it by design to end up with some sort of a business goal. If you don't connect a business goal to it, it's a life goal, still fine. But if you have a business goal attached to it, it will set you free. This has been my driver all along. This is why I do what I do. Once we have that, this we can attach a feedback loop to it because we need, of course, business goals. It gets off the boring stuff there, the financial goals, the milestones on your way of having that company, the tasks needed to build that business. And then the last part of it, but very important, does that feedback loop, the tasks, the milestones, the financial goals, give you energy? See on the left. Does it feedback, does it loop back energy to your longing? If yes, you've done something very right. If no, we have lost energy somewhere here. Somewhere here we have diverted too far from longing, too far from life purpose, or simply haven't decoded right enough. But if we do succeed with this, either by luck or by design, people will tell, yeah, he followed his heart. He did what he wanted to do in life. But that's, in my case, by design. And when I discovered, I'll stop sharing, that was the last slide. When I discovered the keys in me, I realized that this is what people need. That this is my purpose. And this couple of years ago, and the search ended. From that moment on, the search ended. I knew I wasn't searching anymore. I knew. From that moment on, I was only okay, how to translate that into business and how to make it, how that sets you free. So this is in essence the intuitive leader. What I've just explained is in essence what decoding intuition is about, if you like. Without that, I have to ramble on too much. What it has given clients is literally, I now know for sure when it is my intuition. It has given me radical self-trust when making decisions. This comes from a person that is a highly qualified professional and running own business for years, and has tried quite a lot of leadership programs. Another client told me, I now see people, I now notice, I now register, I can now read the room. And this is a new client, it went very fast. And from another client, it's enormous breakthrough to go from not really being clear on what feels authentic to start a business, an authentic business, to absolutely clarity on what the next steps in lives are. Yeah, this is basically wherever you are on this scale, if you like. If you're talking about trying to connect with purpose or with intuition to find out what purpose, explore purpose, or experience intuition, or trust business or intuition, or implement it. Should I hire this person? Yes or no? Should I invest in this company? Yes or no? Should I exit my company? Yes or no? Should I start a new business, or should I, find a new job? This is, in essence, what this is kind of the topics that we discuss. And time is running away, but I still have 5 minutes left before we're going to open up for um, questions. How to decode intuition? I've put that in a manual. 15 steps. It's a guide and an audio. It's written and audio. And should you want to read that, or if you want to get that, just type manual here in this chat. I will see your name and I will send it to you. I already have your email. That's fine. And so I basically give it away. Here you have it. The 15 steps. 5 steps how to intuit. 5 steps how to decode. And 5 steps how to safe-proof yourself when acting on it. So 15 steps in total. And also, I would like to tell you that this is absolutely not scripted. It was not planned either, but on demand, the 27th of September, there's an online retreat. It's 197 euros, by the way, and it's deliberately a low amount of money. And on a Saturday for 4 hours. Purpose, it's to get in touch with intuition and to start exploring purpose. That's the whole thing. That's all, and we have a maximum of 6 seats. So should you be interested in just knowing more about it, just ping me or write retreat here, and then I will come back to you. Yeah, all right. One last thing. In terms of decoding intuition, it is not possible for me to have a sales talk. If you're interested, genuinely interested in purpose, intuition, decisions, um, reading the room and listening to intuition, if that is something that is seriously on your mind and you want to explore it with no sales pressure, then book me in into a one-to-one in a connection call. The connection call is a non-sales call. I promise you that. It's meant to be clean from sales. The idea behind that is for you to connect with your intuition and your purpose as much as you can. Should you after that want to know more about decoding, that's fine. But it also gives me the opportunity to, it's a matchmaking process, right? The people we have in our community and what you are looking for, is that a match? That is so if you want to talk about this genuinely, then simply book me in or just write something in the chat and I will find you. All right, thank you. Finally, what is intuition to me? A sense of inner knowing. It's not good or right in this. I use sense of inner knowing for the reason that it doesn't matter if it is tacit knowledge, experience only, mirror neurons, reading the room, spiritual entity, or any other source of knowledge you believe that. Yesterday I had someone on the line and said it's just a mental framework. Fine for me. At some point, you're going to use your sense, the inward-looking sense. There's a name for it. It's called interoceptive work. That's a real sense. It's actually a real sense. People don't know it. To register what's going on in us, at some point we have to make sense of our signals. That sense-making moment, this gives a knowing, and it is that moment of inner knowing. That's how I describe or define intuition as a, let's say, working definition. It fits. All right. If you have any questions, please feel free to just throw it out here. I don't, this is not a school class situation. We're grown up. So just if you have a question, just say it. And I will, in the meantime, I will read what you have written here. I see Prabhu, knowing what to do. Alf, a sense of feeling about a matter. Ilka, I would say gut feeling, yes. Joseph, having a feeling of knowing something, gut feeling. Trusting you're making the right decisions, Debbie. Yeah, and my gut feeling. Do you have any question, by the way? Yeah. Let's see, Marlin. Intuition is a mental signal, foresight, based on both gut feeling and previous experiences. Yes. Yeah, and the funny aspect is that at some point in time, it doesn't matter where your experience comes from, if it's tacit knowledge or if it's subconscious, if it's prenatal experiences, you just know. It doesn't mean, though, that that people that follow intuition are flawless. Obviously, people make a lot of mistakes, even with intuition. But not using intuition isn't a way to learn either. At some point, we have to dare to make decisions in order to actually get the feedback loop, right? This decision was wrong. This decision was right. Now I went with my gut. Let me see. Anna writes, Jacqueline writes, why do we doubt sometimes our intuition? Well, the simple answer, thank you, by the way, the simple answer is we were never taught to even know what our intuition is. I'm not sure about you, but how I was raised is highly mental. University, school for 25 years, working in a highly mental, rational environment. We were taught how to do thinking, rational, sequential thought analysis. That's been our school, if you like. But nobody has ever told you that right now, what you're telling Maurice, what you're saying right now you're going on your gut. This is your intuition, what you're doing. Our intuition can feel like this or that. There's been no self-analysis. I've done that myself. I was, I am the teacher for myself that I've never had. So it's yeah, why we doubt it is because eventually, if you don't know what your intuitive signature is, and it has a signature, a very clear signature. If you don't know what that signature is, you will never find it. It will be one of those weak signals that you will never identify as intuition. You will mix it up with lust or fear or wishful thinking or fantasy, and then we will not trust it enough, basically. And Ilka, is intuition a loop between thinking and feeling? I would say no, it is not a loop, it is feeling. However, decoding intuition is a loop between thinking and feeling. It is definitely that. As a matter of fact, we both need thought as well as emotional intelligence to decode whatever it is that we are perceiving. A lot of signals that we are getting are non-intuitive, obviously. They can still be good or bad, doesn't matter, but we need to decipher it still. Let me see. Silva, I don't think you can learn intuition. You can only develop it over time and then trust it. Um, yeah, it is learning over time. You have to learn to trust it. But if you ask me, you can definitely learn intuition. 100% sure. There's no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt. I've seen that many times, not just with myself, but also with my clients. The thing is, maybe I should rephrase this. We don't need to learn intuition. We don't need to train intuition either. Intuition is just fine without us. We need to learn how to access it. We need to, as Eugene Sadler Smith writes in one of his books, we need to strengthen our intuitive muscle, train it. But it's already there. There's a lot of science pointing towards that we are intuitive beings. It's in our DNA. It's evolved psychology. It's already there. It's not a matter of training it, it's a matter of accessing it and then recognizing it good enough and decoding it. I was looking for another word, translating it into something that we logically can understand. That's what the training is. The training is not really about intuition, it's about actually recognizing it and then using it. So in that sense, you can't learn intuition, but you can learn how to access it and read it. It's like an email that you need to open. Let me see. I'm convinced that the using intuition is crucial, rather than only facts, key to much needed transformation. One of my customers, she put it, thank you, Martin. One of my customers, she put it really beautiful. She said, AI is the what. What shall we do? What decisions are we going to make? What data are we going to make the decisions on? But in human intelligence or our intuition is telling us why we should do that in the first place or why we should not do it. It's the answers the why behind a lot of stuff, the bigger picture. Uh, oh, a lot of you can learn to trust your intuition, but you can't learn it. Okay, I stick to my point of view. Okay, it's a free society. That's okay. Um, all right. So and then, I would like to mention one more man. His name is Gary Klein. He's on my podcast as well. He's been training the US Marines on something called naturally based decision making, which is really gut-based decision making. And he had his big breakthrough there in the 80s. He then went on to work, globally and also with management teams. Um, and yeah, it's a lot of it's one of his books is called The Power of Intuition, in case you would want to read more about how you train intuition. All right. Well, I would like to thank you very much for showing up. I had promised you I would close off in time, which is in 4 minutes. Good. I'm actually still on schedule. That is unbelievable. So before I close off, is there anything that I should mention? Because I always get caught up in the thick of it because I love the topic. Do you have any question? Is it clear to you what I've been telling you today? Is it clear? Is it clarity what I've tried to convey today? Intuition is never clear. Yes, intuition, I call it the skirmish zone sometimes. So if we go back to, if you would try to express, because this was one of my clients, she said it really, really beautiful. She said, like, if I'm in a meeting, in a management meeting, I don't get a chance to speak intuitively because rational language is numbers, KPIs, square-minded, often to the point, very clear, doesn't leave any room for debate. But intuitive language, the language of, let's say, creation, of trying to figure something out, it's almost like workshopy language. Like it goes like this. Yeah, I believe it could be like that. I have a feeling that this and this could be in that direction. I'm not really sure yet. Let me sleep on this. That's the kind of language that is intuitive language. It doesn't stick very well if you have to make a decision right now, right here in a management team. So it takes a little bit more time. It's messy. It's messy. And that's also why this is why there is something called the intuitive leader. It's a safe space to actually access, to learn how to get access to your own intuition, where you can make all the mistakes, all ask the stupid questions, do the stupid things, if you like, because it's in this murky zone um, where things are not clear immediately. And by the way, things are not clear because you don't recognize your intuitive signal. The moment you get your signal, like a traffic jam signal, like red, green, orange, the moment you see that signal, it becomes a lot less murky. But in these deeper alleys of longing and desire and not knowing and uncertainties and fears and fantasies, in this mashup of signals, intuition is often the weak signal. One last thing, intuition is not here to make you feel comfortable. Intuition is not here to give you a harmonic feeling. It is there to pull you out of your comfort zone. That's the whole point. From longing or from your life today to your life purpose is not going to be a comfortable journey. And it's probably intuition that is going to get you there. Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA founder, he must have had a very uncomfortable ride for the first 10 years of 15 years of his life. Right? It's only now he's getting very comfortable. He's selling his shares. That should tell you something, by the way. Weak signal. um, Thank you everybody for joining us. And I feel I normally don't talk this much. Normally, when I meet with people, I listen more than I talk. Because I know if I ask the right questions, you get in touch with your intuition.
My takeaway is that I'm gonna go for my life purpose, for my longing. And my longing is so very strong, and I know where I'm heading.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I think it's great what you're doing. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Okay, one more person. Prabhu, do you want to say something? One word or something.
Yeah, not one word. I can't. I have to say a sentence. No, you have set me thinking about in my current stage in life. I'm thinking a lot about spirituality and synchronicity and how things sometimes just without rationale or um, meaning just happens in a good
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Yeah, and you have set me thinking if maybe that's also connected to intuition. It's another word for intuition, the spiritual awareness that provides this direction. I guess that's for another day, another conversation.
Well, thank you for
Thank you.
sharing. Yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you.
I know what you mean. Without intuition, you will probably not become aware of synchronicity in the first place. Even though synchronicity is not a part of decoding intuition that I do, but it's related. I can see the link. Yes. Joseph, can I call you out? I saw you
Yeah, sure.
nodding. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the words that you just said just a few minutes ago, like intuition is not here to make you feel comfortable. It never is, especially if you're an inventor, if you're a business owner or something. Like you are gonna feel uncomfortable, but you just gotta go with the gut, even though relatives, friends, parents tell you no, don't go that way. Your
Mm.
intuition is the one that you're going for.
Yeah, otherwise you would stay at home. My parents never wanted me to leave. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marlin or Andelina, does any of you want to say a few words? Your takeaway?
My takeaway is mostly, or the top of my takeaways from today is to improve my inner listening and to actively and more well, frequently and actively listen inwards and not so much outwards, because there's too much noise in my head, so I have to silence myself to be able to listen within.
Yeah. All right. Great. Thank you. Thank you. I think you're speaking for most of us. Yeah.
Can I say?
Yes. Yes.
So I will explore more intuition and definitely read the book that you have mentioned. I ordered it. So I have to study more.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I should have read a book then. That's in the making. Yeah. Ilka, may I ask you as well?
Yeah, sure. I already have a think feel loop, and I think that this intuition part is very interesting. It's a small voice that you sometimes don't listen to carefully. So yeah, I think it's very interesting.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And I just want to I haven't gone through the chat completely, but if you are, just keep in mind that there's this online retreat coming up where we do this, we practice this. Silence, longing, purpose. It's a very time-boxed experience, and yeah, in a safe way. So I don't really dare to call out anybody else. So Mil, Francesca, or Carl Johan, since you have your cameras off, or Sylvain. But you are free to say a few words if you want to. I don't want to call you out if you don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah, I can say, but I wrote it in the chat already, is that it confirms that it's very difficult to grasp or clearly define intuition. That's what I've always been thinking. But if you have it, it's a huge advantage. So
It
that's
seems
my
so.
take.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of things to take away from today, but if you want one,
Yep.
What I've learned from a previous conversation and today is that you provide a critical apparatus so that you can get closer to intuition in an analytical way. That's how I'd say it.
Yeah, thank you. That's absolutely spot on. It's I'm not sure if you've noticed it, but the logo of my company is blue and orange. There's logic and intuitive thought. We need both. We need both. We have both machines. We cannot do without one of them. So yeah, you're right. Analytical skills are also needed.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe if I can add something, because I have been thinking a lot about intuition in my life already as well. And I think that it's a kind of combination of rational thinking and feelings. And in that sense, based also on previous experiences, of course, and in that sense, it is in itself rational as a process because it has some ingredients and they have to come together for it to work. So maybe we don't really understand all the mechanisms. That's why I said it's so difficult to clearly define what it is. But there must be, in my worldview, like for everything, a rational explanation of it, how it really works in our brains or in our chemistry.
Yeah, thank you, Safa. I agree. We don't know anything for everything about it. For sure, we don't. I don't believe intuition is rational, but we can definitely analyze it rationally. For sure, it is explainable. That it is explainable. So, Francesca, is there any last word you want to say, or should I? No.
My camera doesn't work, but
Okay.
yes, I think like you were now a little bit on the point, but that it's still intuition is not rational. But I like your like process things, because sometimes you have an intuition, you would like to go for it, but in some situation you need to motivate decision. So I think that during the process it can help you also to validate the intuition in a way where sometimes you have barrier to use it actually.
Yeah.
So
it does. It does, and it gives you. This is actually one of my clients. She told me that she's actually very strong on intuition, but she said that decoding gave her the logical framework to explain to others what she intuitively already knew. And that is needed. So that is absolutely needed, because I noticed that many of us are in situations where we need to almost defend an intuitive knowing, and then it's difficult to do that with intuitive language. It is very hard, and unless you have a leader that, like Mac van Wielingen I mentioned earlier, who is extremely open to this, who understands this. But that's rare. That's very rare. Okay, I want to thank you. I'm 5 minutes past 1, and I usually get hit on my head because I'm take too much time. So I want to thank you for your contributions. Really, yeah.
I want to say something.
Okay. Very
Just a
fast.
question.
Yeah.
I was thinking of you talking about this process, longing to business and life purpose. I bet you need to have your life purpose correct before you even know your business purpose.
Yeah, it is. However, it is possible to start a business. I mean, I've got people right here, not far off. They sell knives. I mean, kitchen knives, like real
Yeah.
knives. I don't think it's their life purpose to sell kitchen knives, but they made a good living on it. So, and this is where a lot of people end up. They build a company, they earn money, they're doing well, but something is off. Something is missing. Something is, and they don't know what that something is. And of course,
Yeah.
I already
Okay, so
know
you can do
that.
both. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Nobody says what's right or wrong. It's just the thinking when, depending on the age, where you are yourself in your own life.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you slip on a banana
yeah, I
skin.
don't want to force anybody. But I can tell you that from my point of view, in terms of longing and life purpose, I am not compromising. I can
No.
do things along the way to do something else, like interim leadership stuff I've done earlier. But in terms of where I'm heading for, it's a non-compromisable. And I don't think Janssen Huang or Jeff Bezos or any of those compromise with their vision, what they saw as their life purpose. They didn't. I'm not saying I'm going to be the next Jeff Bezos, but the dynamics are the same. Stick to it if it is your true purpose.
Thank you.
Otherwise, there's a lot of research on people that abandoned their life purpose and basically regretted themselves. That is the whole point. Private choices.
We could call it a dream.
Yeah, start if you exactly, and then it stays a dream, and it becomes that is my purpose. I want you to be right on your purpose. That is what I love to do. If I do that, that's it. There you have it. Yeah. Okay, now I'm gonna I mean, you know what? I'm gonna officially end, and I'm gonna stay left. I'm still here for everybody that wants to talk. I'm here. I now officially end it, and then I will say goodbye. Everybody, thank you for joining. I'll be here, so everybody is free to run away. But if you want to stay and talk, that's fine. I'm here. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I had to go. Thank you for the session. It was
you.
really amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph.
See ya.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.